History often teaches us that wars are won with armies, weapons, and overwhelming force. But every so often, a victory hinges on something far quieter, something stranger, something almost unbelievable. In 1943, Allied intelligence executed one of the most audacious deception operations in modern history. They didn't attack an enemy position. They didn't intercept a message. They didn't break a code. They planted an idea inside the enemy's own mind. This was Operation Mincemeat. And it worked because the enemy never realized they were being deceived. By early 1943, the Allies were preparing to invade Europe from the south. The most obvious target was Sicily. It sat in the center of the Mediterranean. It controlled shipping routes, and it was heavily defended. German commanders expected Sicily to be the landing point, so they fortified it accordingly. That created a problem. A direct assault would be costly. Casualties would be high. Momentum could be lost before the invasion even truly began. So, Allied planners asked a different question. Not how do we fight the enemy, but how do we convince the enemy to move themselves out of the way? The solution was deceptively simple. Give the enemy intelligence that looked real. Not intercepted on purpose, not handed over, but found. The plan centered on a single body. A corpse dressed as a British military officer, carrying classified documents, drifting ashore where enemy intelligence was known to operate. But this couldn't be just any corpse. It needed a story, a life, a past. Allied intelligence agents began to construct a completely fabricated identity, a persona so detailed that it could withstand the deepest scrutiny. They named him Major William Martin of the Royal Marines. This wasn't just a name on a piece of paper. It was an entire existence built from scratch. To make Major Martin feel real, they gave him personal effects, the kind of mundane items a person carries every day. They placed in his pockets a set of keys, a book of stamps, and even stubs from London theater tickets for a recent show. These small details were designed to paint a picture of a man living a life, not just a soldier on a mission. There was a receipt for a new shirt and an overdue bill from his tailor, suggesting a touch of human imperfection. The most powerful element of his fake life, however, was his fiancée, Pam. Planners created a series of heartfelt love letters, complete with a photograph of a woman he was supposedly set to marry. These letters spoke of shared dreams, future plans, and the anxieties of wartime separation. They were intimate, emotional, and utterly convincing. They were the human anchor for the entire deception, designed to make any German officer who read them believe they were intruding on a private tragedy, not uncovering a state-sponsored lie. Every detail, from the ink on the letters to the crease in the photograph, was meticulously crafted to build a world around a man who had never existed. The core of the deception, of course, was the documents Major Martin carried. These were not just random papers. They were masterfully forged letters between high-ranking Allied generals. The documents were designed to be found, not seized in battle. They needed to feel like an accidental discovery, a stroke of incredible luck for the German intelligence services. The letters were placed inside a briefcase, which was then chained to the wrist of the corpse. This detail was crucial. It signaled the immense importance of the contents, suggesting that the officer would have protected them with his life. The documents subtly hinted that while the Allies were planning a large-scale Mediterranean operation, the main target was not Sicily. Instead, they pointed to two separate invasions, one in Greece and another in Sardinia. Sicily was mentioned, but only as a feint, a diversionary tactic to draw German forces away from the real targets. The language was carefully chosen to be informal and authentic, mimicking the natural correspondence between two trusted commanders. Every word was weighed, every phrase debated, to ensure it rang true. The forgers even included a small, seemingly careless error detail that made the document appear more genuine, less like a polished piece of official propaganda. The entire package was engineered to be discovered and, more importantly, to be believed. The body of Major Martin was released from a British submarine, the HMS Seraph, off the coast of Huelva, Spain. This location was chosen with strategic precision. Spain was officially neutral, but its government had known sympathies with the Axis powers. And the area was teeming with active German intelligence agents. The Allies calculated that the Spanish authorities would find the body, inspect the documents, and dutifully pass them on to their German counterparts. The tide and currents were studied to ensure the body would wash ashore exactly where it would cause the most impact. On April 30, 1943, a Spanish fisherman discovered the body floating in the water. As the Allies had hoped, the local authorities were alerted. The briefcase was opened, and its contents were quickly recognized as highly sensitive. German intelligence agents in Spain were immediately notified and moved swiftly to get their hands on the documents. They photographed every letter, every receipt, every single piece of paper found on the body. This intelligence was then rushed up the chain of command, landing on the desks of the most senior figures in the Nazi war machine. The enemy intelligence apparatus accepted the bait completely. The sheer detail of the fabricated life of Major Martin, combined with the apparent authenticity of the official documents, was too compelling to ignore. German analysts, trained to spot deception, saw none. Instead, they saw a windfall. A priceless glimpse into the enemy's most secret plans. The love letters, the ticket stubs, the tailor's bill. It all worked together to disarm their suspicion. They concluded that this was not a plant. It was a genuine accident, a tragic loss for the British that had become a monumental gain for Germany. The reports from Spain were sent directly to Berlin, where they were reviewed by the highest echelons of the German High Command. The information was deemed so credible and so critical that it reached Adolf Hitler himself. Convinced by the authenticity of the found intelligence, Hitler made a fateful decision. He overruled his own generals, some of whom still suspected Sicily was the logical target. He ordered a massive redirection of military resources away from Sicily and towards Greece and Sardinia. This decision had immediate and far-reaching consequences. It directly influenced troop positioning across the entire Mediterranean theater. Experienced panzer divisions, crucial for repelling a beach invasion, were moved from France to Greece. Torpedo boats were redeployed from Sicily to the Greek islands. German reconnaissance flights began focusing their attention on the coastlines of the Balkans, searching for signs of an impending Allied landing. In essence, the German military was repositioning its defenses to fight a phantom invasion, leaving the real target, Sicily, dangerously exposed. The airdropped ideas had taken root, and now they were bearing fruit, fundamentally altering the strategic landscape without a single shot being fired. When the Allies launched Operation Husky, the invasion of Sicily. On July 9, 1943, they were met with far lighter resistance than they had anticipated. The German and Italian defenders, stripped of key reinforcements, were caught off guard and overwhelmed. The landings were a success, and the island was secured in just 38 days. Far quicker and with fewer casualties than military planners had feared. The path into mainland Europe was now open. Operation Mincemeat stands as a landmark case of strategic deception, a masterclass in psychological warfare. It demonstrated that a war could be influenced not just by a clash of armies, but by the subtle manipulation of an opponent's perception. It proved that a well-crafted lie, delivered with precision and flair, could be as powerful as a panzer division. The operation saved thousands of Allied lives and significantly shortened the war in the Mediterranean. It was a victory achieved not on the battlefield, but in the minds of the enemy. The story of Major William Martin, the man who never was, serves as a powerful reminder. It shows that sometimes the most effective weapon is not a bomb or a bullet. It's an idea, a story, a carefully constructed deception that the enemy believes is their own discovery. Because the most successful deceptions are the ones where the target never knows they've been fooled. And that is the true art of war.